I'm Jon Cohen, partner at Next Law. And this video is going to discuss the costs of the tow and the impound resulting from your roadside stunt driving charge in Ontario. So as per the new MUMS Act, the Moving Ontarians More Safely Act, you've just been charged with stunt driving and given a 14-day roadside tow and impoundment. And you've also got a 30-day license suspension in Ontario under Section 172(1) of the Highway Traffic Act. Now, you may have a court date between 2 to 4 months, possibly more in the future. So the question is, what now? So let's take a closer look at the costs of the towing and the impound. There are 4 potential costs that are part of the tow and the impound fee. 1, the tow cost. This is generally a flat towing rate set out by the municipality with the possibility of some additional fees should the vehicle need, for example, to be winched into position before towing. 2, the extra kilometre cost. The towing itself may be a flat fee. However, the operators could start charging for kilometers traveled once they're outside of city limits. 3, the storage cost. This is generally a flat fee per day, which would then be multiplied by the 14 days your car remains in impound. 4, additional costs. These fees can include cost recovery fees, surcharges, depending on where you're towed. Example, if you're towed off of certain highways, if you have a collision, if there's an off-road recovery of the vehicle. So let's look at number 1, the tow cost. In Ontario, tow costs are generally regulated or fixed fees. If you drive a standard vehicle, it would be a fixed tow fee, which can range from around, let's say, $250 plus or minus. And the police in that area that you were charged with stunt driving generally have a contract with a set of towing companies, so the rates are controlled. Now, this may not always be the case, depending on where in Ontario you were charged, but due to controversial tow truck incidents over the past year or so, the government of Ontario set out some proposed guidelines and regulations for the towing industry that will control the costs across the province. Let's look at number 2, the extra kilometre costs. This is dependent on where you are charged with stunt driving in Ontario. There may be a flat fee for the towing, but if you are outside of the distance range for a towing company, you may find yourself with some extra kilometre charges above and beyond that flat fee. And this generally happens, let's say, in rural areas where the distance to many tow yards is much greater than that of a city. And you will see this on your invoice. It's added to the tow charge. So now let's look at the per day storage costs. As of 2021, the general daily storage cost looks to be upwards of, let's say, $60 per day. Again, this varies and is set out as a fixed daily rate at the tow yard or the impound. So the overall cost after my 14-day tow and impound, how much is this? Again, this is difficult to quantify as each case is different with a different set of circumstances, but be prepared to pay upwards of $1,500 or more, and this could be slightly less, or it could be much more depending on your location as outlined above. You may want to call the tow yard after your car has been impounded to get a proper breakdown of your costs just so you can plan ahead. So what are my next steps after my 30-day suspension and this 14-day tow and car impound? You've now been charged with stunt driving in Ontario, but remember, this doesn't mean that you'll be convicted of the actual charge of stunt driving. The charge is just the beginning of the legal process, and yes, this is a devastating start because now you have this 14-day car impound, this 30-day license suspension at the roadside before you even get to your court date. So now I suggest is the time to get some legal advice and proceed very carefully, because while stunt driving may seem on the surface like a simple traffic charge that many people will not take seriously, think about it more in the context of how you would function if your license was suspended and you couldn't drive for a minimum of 1 year. If that's the case, you run the real risk of losing your job. You run the real risk of not being able to get to job interviews, not being able to take care of your family, not being able to use a car for emergencies, and so many other reasons. And that's how serious this charge can be if it's not dealt with properly. So if there's one takeaway from this video, it is an attempt to get you to reach out and get some free legal advice, because a proper law firm that specializes in stunt driving may have a strategy and a legal course of action that can prevent this 1 to 3 year license suspension. And best of all, this call is free. So if you look down below, you can book a free meeting with myself or Dan Joffe, and there's no obligation, but that call could change everything.